Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Dragon Ball Legends. Today I'm giving you guys another Q&A, and it might be a little bit shorter this time. I'm not sure yet. I'm on a crunch time right now, so it might be like 5-7 minutes shorter. We'll see how it goes. I might just get carried away, but you guys already see what the video length is. I don't know what it's going to be yet. It might be 20 minutes, it might be 15, it might be 12. But let's go ahead and get into this. Super Perfect Cell should be stronger than Deborah because Deborah couldn't finish off a weak Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. Goku did say Deborah is past Cell, but Goku never saw Super Perfect Cell. Plus, the Gohan Deborah fought was about 9 billion as Super Saiyan 2 and Cell fought. I guess he means when Gohan fought Cell as a Super Saiyan 2, he was 56 billion as Super Saiyan 2. I don't know where the hell these numbers came from. I can tell you, even if this was Gohan's power as a Super Saiyan 2, which it was not that high. It actually would have been closer to this number as Teen Gohan, but these numbers are completely fabricated to my knowledge. They would not be that big of a difference between the adult Gohan and Teen Gohan. It would not be that big. Not at all. But going back to this, well, actually, number one, Deborah didn't even try to finish off Gohan. If you remember, he actually stopped. He stopped not because he couldn't win, but because he saw an opponent stronger than all of us, all of them, that he could control. And maybe deep down, he didn't think he could beat Deborah, or he didn't think he could beat Goku or Vegeta, which realistically he wouldn't be able to because Vegeta even said he could beat him if he wanted to. But, you know, you can take that to Vegeta's pride, but I do think that Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Vegeta would have been able to defeat Deborah. However, again, he did not actually try, especially if you look at the manga. The fight was so quick, he didn't even really try to finish off Gohan. That was not the case. And he was ready to fight him again before Buu hatched as well. Now, going back over here to saying Goku never saw, well, yeah, he compares him. He says, you know, it reminds me of a guy named Cell 7 years ago, or whatever he said, you know. It's like a guy named Cell who fought 7 years ago. But, is he comparing him? This is the ultimate argument here, isn't it? Is he referring to Perfect Cell or Super Perfect Cell? And I tend to lean towards Super Perfect Cell. I think that Deborah is stronger than him. Yes, Goku didn't visually see Cell, but you have to think, if he was with King Kai, sensing Cell's power, telling Gohan you have enough power to beat him, whether that's just Goku talking him up or not. There's motorcycles passing by my house, rude ass bastards here. He has to sense Cell's power, but motorcycle people, they're just obnoxious, aren't they? You guys probably couldn't even hear a lick of what they did, and hopefully not. But anyways, what you have to look at, and this kind of goes to the Yosun Goku and his friends return special that had Tarbell in it, where Abo and Kato were compared to Frieza at this point, and people said, oh, you know, it's first form Frieza, but I mean, I'm pretty sure the writers were talking about you have to look at it like this, especially for this situation. I'm pretty sure the writers and Toriyama himself, whoever's deciding all these things, right? I'm pretty sure they're referring to the last strongest villain, which would have been Super Perfect Cell. That's just my opinion, but guess what? There really isn't any way to tell. They don't really differentiate the two, and the only thing that really separates them, Super Perfect Cell and Perfect Cell, are the video games that say they're two different forms. That's not something that's ever really separated in the series, so it's just Cell. Hell, you could even say, hey, he's comparing him to Imperfect Cell or Semi-Perfect Cell. You just don't know, right? But realistically, I just imagine Super Perfect Cell, especially due to the way Deborah was fighting with Gohan. Deborah has the edge in that fight, and if it's a Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, and Deborah was comparable to regular Perfect Cell, it would have been a lot more of a struggle, but Deborah still had the edge in that fight, I'd say. But that's just my opinion. But I spent way too long on that question, didn't I? Anyways, moving on. And again, I don't know where these numbers came from, the 9 and the 56 billion, but if that was the case, then you wouldn't really need to put the rest of this stuff up here, but yada yada yada. Whatever. Super Perfect Cell after 8 days in the time chamber versus base Gotenks. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that you mean the base Gotenks that got done with his own training, who would have been stronger than Fat Buu in his base. Based on the fact that Piccolo said, you might not even have to transform to beat this guy when he was fighting against Super Buu, but obviously that was an incorrect prediction on his part. But regardless, after 8 days, I mean, we don't really know how Cell's biology works. We don't know if he's like Frieza where he can train and get strong so quickly. But 8 days, that's 8 years really, right? So 8 years of training for him to go to his, you know, Super Perfect Cell level as a normal being, without the fact that we can assume he's never obviously had any real training, right? We can just assume that 8 years of training at someone that is the level of Cell, which is Cell. It sounds weird saying that, but the only person I can compare Cell to is himself. I mean, you would have to think all he'd have to do is get... Yeah, he'd be able to do that. I mean, just as a normal... I mean, if Goku did that or Vegeta did that, or Gotenks did, or Gotenks trained that much, or Piccolo trained that much, they could definitely get past a Fat Buu level in 8 years. So that's a weird question. And we got another weird one. Deborah after 3 days in the time chamber versus Majin Vegeta. Again, the same thing. I think that given that amount of training, Deborah would be able to beat Majin Vegeta. For 3 years in the chamber? Now you say 3 days, I'm assuming you mean 3 years. But maybe I'm wrong. This is a future video topic that I have said is a future video topic for the longest time. I've discussed it before. Super Perfect Cell versus Super Saiyan 2 Team Gohan. Who is truly the strongest? I'm going to do a video on this. And I know I'm going to get comments about it regardless, but I'm not going to discuss it here. And I will try to get that video out sooner than later. But, you know, Xenoverse, I know I've been pumping out a lot of Xenoverse content, guys. I'm having a lot of fun with the game. And I'd like to have an audience that would watch more gameplay. Not everyone likes it, and that's, you know, completely understandable. But I would like to attract more of an audience that wants more gameplay, while keeping my general discussions, Q&As, super reviews, predictions, all that good stuff. But, you know, gameplay does not get as many views as everything else, so I'd like it to get more. But, you know, that's just a little side note there. Fusion Reborn Super Gogeta versus Nova Shenron. I'd say Nova Shenron. I mean, the thing about Gogeta is we don't know what the difference in power is between him and Vegito. There's people that say they have formulas and stuff. For me, I know the GT... Was it the GT Perfect Files or it was one of the comics? It says Vegito may even be stronger than Super Saiyan 4. It just says Super Saiyan 4. It doesn't say Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. People assume it just means Super Saiyan 4 Goku, but I mean, it could just be saying it's as strong as a Super Saiyan 4 multiplier. Is that what it is? I have no idea. But regardless of that, when you're looking at the Fusion Reborn special, it's in a completely different series than GT is, and it's a completely different... Honestly, the people that put that that information in the Perfect Files or the comic or whatever it was in, I'm pretty sure it was the Perfect Files though. That's most likely a completely different staff of people making that information. So you have to think it's not the same people cracking down the information, especially when you're putting Vegito down, who's a Toriyama creation. That's not Toriyama putting that information into the GT files, right? So it's a completely different interpretation of the character, isn't it? I mean, you'd have to think. So it's hard to compare. That's just my opinion. So the thing goes for Gogeta. I just don't think Gogeta would be as strong as someone that was near a Super Saiyan 4 Goku level. Now, Nova was getting... Goku was holding back against Nova, right? But I'd still say Nova would have the edge. That's just my opinion. If you're just going by Super Saiyan Gogeta, that's just my honest opinion. It is kind of hard to break down, though, because we just don't know the extent of the power of that fusion. Super Buu, Goku absorbed versus Mystic Gohan. I'd still give it to Mystic Gohan. I mean, even though Buu tanks gave Gohan a good run for his money, the thing a lot of people don't understand, but I'm assuming the person that made this comment understands, because they obviously knew that Buu tanks was stronger than Gohan, so they wouldn't give him a stronger power-up. Super Saiyan 3 Goku is actually weaker than both Gohan and Gotenks. There's a lot of information to suggest this, and, you know, tons of things to look at. But I'd have to say, if Goku and Buu were merged into one, if Buu absorbed Goku, I'd still say Gohan would have the edge. They might be close, but if you're using math, I mean, Goku's way weaker than even Super Buu. Goku was terrified to fight. Well, I say terrified, but he didn't want to even attempt to fight Buu. When he's inside of Buu, he says, even though he's back to normal, we have no chance of beating him without fusion. That's talking about base Super Buu. So that's just one way to show how much weaker Goku was. So I think even if he got absorbed by Buu, Gohan would still have the edge. Maybe it wouldn't be as, as easy of a fight, obviously, but he would still, just based on how easily he was thrashing Super Buu, I think that Goku would not really pose a challenge to him, essentially. Because when Buu absorbed Gotenks was stronger than Super Buu, right? But we can basically say at a bare level, at a bare minimum level, it essentially just doubles Buu's power, right? It was more than that, but we'll just say it essentially doubled its power. Goku would be significantly less than that, so Gohan realistically would be able to defeat him. At least if you're going by scaling and math. I mean, that's, as to what would happen in the actual story, that's a whole nother discussion. And something I can't really pinpoint either. Coolza, Meta Cooler versus Mecha Frieza Fusion versus Perfect Cell. Due to the power of fusion, what we see with Goten and Trunks, I think that the Coolza fusion would win. You don't even need Metal Cooler there. You can just make it Final Form Cooler and it'd be fine. Isn't Super Janemba stronger than Super Buu because he powered up for Gogeta and he was still able to move after taking Gogeta's attacks? I don't really see how that makes him stronger than Buu. I'd still say Buu is strong. Even though Janemba powered up, again, the difference here is that Goku was actually able to inflict damage on Janemba. People say Goku didn't even hurt Janemba, but if you have to actually go back and look at that fight, Janemba was damaged. Goku was actually able to keep up pretty well with Janemba. The big thing with Janemba was that dimensional manipulation. A lot of people just do not understand that dimensional manipulation caught Goku so off guard, he could not keep up with it. Yes, Janemba did power up more at the end of the film against Gogeta. By how much? Who the hell knows? It could have been by 1,000 times. It could have been by 10% or 20%. We don't know. We can only speculate. But just based on how Goku was doing, and the fact that he didn't even want to attempt to fight Buu, Super Buu, then to me that kind of seals it right there. So that's just my opinion. We're gonna end it off on the next question after this. I know it's a little short, guys, but I am running a little late on some stuff. And if I make this too long, more rendering time, more upload time, I want to get this out by a decent time. I'm recording this pretty late. Super Perfect Cell after 8 days in the time chamber versus Fat Buu. Again, back to the base Gotenks question we had. Cell would win. Gotenks in his base after the time chamber was stronger than Fat Buu. It's heavily implied that, so I would think Cell would, after 8 years of training, would be just enough. At least just enough to beat Buu. This was the last one because it's an interesting question. I don't know if I could even manage to make this a featured question. I probably couldn't, and it's kind of at the end, so it's not the best. Who would be the best God of Destruction? Super Buu, Broly, Cell, Janemba, Omega Shenron, or Vegito? Now, I would say Cell, and the reason is, even though they're not the same character, the most comparable character I would say to Beerus, at least Beerus' initial reveal in, let's say, Super. He was a lot more sinister, a lot more destructive, right? I think so, at least. He definitely changed over the episodes. into what he was in Battle of Gods. You know, a lot more, not as much of an asshole. I would say Cell is the most comparable to that. If Cell has those rules in place that he can't do certain things, whatever the Omni King wants to instate in rules, I think Cell could be a pretty decent God of Destruction. I still would rather not have him be one, but he would be the most suited out of all of these. Vegito, come on guys, you really think Vegito would want to be a God of Destruction? I think that Cell would be the best God of Destruction. That's just my opinion, based on his personality. He was evil, don't get me wrong, but he had layers to him that weren't entirely sadistic. He had a conscience, he could make decisions. So I think that Cell, I mean, Buu, Broly, and Janemba right off the bat, no chance. Omega Shenron, too much evil. Vegito, not enough malice and destruction. So I think Cell, especially just by knocking off everyone else, just by default, would be the best, in my opinion. This would be a cool featured question if I could figure out how to title it, but we'll see if I can. Regardless of if it is or not, give your thoughts on this last question down below, guys. I'd like to hear your thoughts on these two. And if you have a better option for a God of Destruction than Cell, go ahead and put it in the comment section down below. But other than that, guys, thank you guys for watching this video. And of course,